Sing, sing, sing me. I can't face this life alone. Sing, sing, sing me. I'm naked and I'm far from home.
Hey, I'm Marc Martel. I am a musician. I am a singer mainly, but I also love the guitar.
Oh yeah.
I took 8 years of piano lessons as a kid, and I loved the piano. And when I turned 14, something clicked in me, and I decided I wanted to start writing my own music. And my mom played a little bit of guitar. She had a Yamaha gut string classical guitar, and that was the first guitar that I started playing, EAD on. And then my dad saw that I was really enjoying it, and I decided that I wanted a steel string acoustic. And so he took me literally 3 or 4 houses down from where we lived, and they were having an estate sale. I guess the person had died, and they were selling off all of their stuff. And he bought me this guitar for, I want to say it was $27 or something like that. It was an acoustic guitar, and in the top of the body there was a huge crack right along the seam, and they had taken black tar and just painted over it. So that was my first acoustic guitar.
Camera police, arrest this man, he talks in mass. He buzzes like a fridge, he's like a DJ radio.
So I started learning on that, and it played so badly that my calluses were horrible. Like, my calluses were worse than they should have been because the action was very bad. But it was good because it built up my endurance. But so that was my inspiration. I wanted to start writing my own music, and I immediately, once I learned 4 or 5 chords, a few major and minor chords, I started writing my own music. But then, I started getting into guitar players a little bit. I never took guitar lessons, unfortunately, but the most important guitar album for that time period for me was Eric Clapton Unplugged. And to this day, I love going back and listening to that, and that taught me a lot about not only strumming patterns, but also a lot of finger picking work. And the first song that I really learned that I played over and over and over again was Tears in Heaven. And I learned it, and I performed it at my high school talent show, and everybody loved it. And it was just me with my mom's acoustic, classical guitar. And then my younger brother is much more of a rock and roller than I ever was, and he was starting to get into grunge music when it was starting, and he was a big fan of Pearl Jam, and so I started getting into Pearl Jam. Now a lot of you guitar players are going to say, well, what about Led Zeppelin and Queen and all this stuff? Like, listen, I wasn't as cool as you guys.
Alone, listless, breakfast table in an otherwise empty room.
I got into Pearl Jam, and that's how what's his name, McCready and Stone. They were my lead guitar gods, and so I played a lot of Pearl Jam in the 90s, and I went from there. I started my own band, and then started writing, performing our own music. And I'm mainly a rhythm player. I'm a good rhythm player. And when it comes to solos, I like to use a lot of delay to cover up the fact that I'm not a very fast player.
This thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get around to it. I ain't ready. Crazy little thing called love.
I started with good old Line 6. I had their very first Flexstone series. That was $1,000 Canadian when it came out. I don't know if they make flex tone anymore, but they are definitely a great alternative to a tube amp if you can't afford a tube amp. Although tube amps are coming out, I would recommend, honestly, for a starter tube amp, I would recommend the Orange Tiny Terror, which I do own and I love. I use it a lot in my recordings. My first proper electric guitar that I bought was an Epiphone Les Paul that I bought in Montreal. And after a few years, when I got a real job and had enough money to buy a Gibson Les Paul, I bought a Gibson, which is now one of my main guitars.
Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun.
Well, it's very simple to take care of your voice. Number one is sleep, which I'm a little bit short on right now because the elevation. I don't know if it's just the traveling. I'm in Mexico's in the same time zone as where I live in Nashville, yet I feel like I have jet lag, but it's getting better. But yeah, sleep is the most important. Hydration is the most important. So that's the two most important things. I learned that listening to your pain. As soon as it starts to hurt, stop doing whatever you're doing and change your technique. Since I never took vocal lessons, so it's hard for me to really speak technically about how I do it. But yeah, if it hurts, I stop doing it and try to figure out a way to do that to make myself sound good without the pain. A technique that I learned to for longevity in a concert was to make sure I was singing in my nose, like that tone, instead of like all in the throat. That's when you get tired very easily. And obviously, they always say support with the breath. That came naturally to me somehow, but make sure you're always supporting your voice with your diaphragm and pushing. And you can learn a lot, actually, if you go on YouTube. I learned a lot from watching Pavarotti's masterclass on YouTube. He speaks of covering the voice and doing this sort of imagining when you're singing. Oh, I don't know. I feel like a fool now, but that's what I do. Mexico City. The part that is there more to the question? No. My favorite part so far is Coyoacán. I went there the first time I was here, and then went back yesterday for the second time with my wife, and she loved it because it's so beautiful and easy to walk around, and the food is delicious. But the best part of Mexico is the people, obviously. People are so kind and warm and gentle and just very inviting. So it's a really beautiful culture, very easy culture to just relax in. So, not a big fan of your elevation, but once I acclimatize, I will be fine. And while we're at it, I would like to self-promote myself a little bit. I have a new album, and it's called My Way. It's an EP of 6 of my favorite songs of all time that I recorded in my own fashion. There's a Queen song on there. There's a Sinatra song on there. There's Beach Boys, Righteous Brothers. I'm really proud of it. It sounds really good, and you should check it out. You can get it on iTunes, Spotify, wherever. You can get it on my website, marcmartelmusic.com.